This storm bringing initially rain, but does this rain change over into snow? I'll let you know in the forecast.
Wasatch County Sheriff Jared Rigby is facing more allegations of bullying and intimidating police officers. We'll show you why the county council was not allowed to talk about it at today's meeting.
Stage 4 cancer, so yeah, it's a journey and it kind of sucks, but I'm going to have a quality of life. I'm going to get to see my grandkids grow up.
Plus, Utah firefighters get a big boost in protecting their lives in the long run on Utah's Capitol Hill.
I didn't sleep last night, for example, because I was worried that when I got up this morning, my food stamps would be gone.
And we're listening to you tonight about a scam involving EBT cards, how those in charge are addressing your concerns.
How one team here in Utah is representing our state at an international competition this summer.
Live from Utah's news leader, Fox 13 News at 9 starts right now.
Our top story tonight is the return of winter weather to Utah. Good evening, everyone. I'm Bob Evans. In Big and Little Cottonwood Canyons, the traction law is now in effect in both directions, up and down the canyons. UDOT has also posted this map on social media detailing where the trouble spots will be through tomorrow night. We have team coverage for you tonight. Fox 13 News reporter Jeremy Toms is in the Fox 13 Big O Tires Weather Beast, but we begin with Utah's Weather Authority meteorologist Breck Bolton. Breck.
Well, Bob, yeah, the storm kicking off here where initially as we've been going through the afternoon into the evening, it's been rain in the valleys, snow in the mountains. Snow levels still at about 7,000 feet. Those levels are dropping right now, but we're keeping the snow accumulating in the mountains, but posing problems here on the roads as we're seeing wet conditions, as that will be the case here as we're looking at this storm to continue on here in the overnight hours. Look at the situation statewide. This storm we knew would have statewide implications as we're seeing that flow of moisture coming through. We're along I-15 from St. George, moving through Cedar City, all through central Utah, and of course here across northern Utah. We're seeing a lot of green here in the valleys. That is rain. More light precipitation as we go from Santa Quin up through Provo, moving to the point of the mountain, tracking through the Salt Lake Valley, pushing further northward. As we move northward, at least from, we're looking at our radar, you see that lightning strike. We could even see an embedded thunderstorm where we are seeing some heavier rain, particularly as you move Ogden northward towards Brigham City. But again, the blue in the mountains, that's where the snow is falling and accumulating, and that's where it will stay here at least for the overnight hours as the storm system continues to dig further southward, pushed off towards the east. But in that flow, it's a warm flow here for tonight as temperatures for most spots, I should say, are well above freezing, except as you go up in elevation like in Park City. That's where we're seeing that transition from rain into snow. Even through central Utah, most locations above freezing, where winter storm warnings in effect for the mountains of northern, central, and southern Utah. How much snow are we talking about? And do we see a point as it is accumulating in the mountains? Do we see a chance of seeing some valley snow? I'll answer that coming up in just a few minutes.
All right, Breck, thanks so much. Fox 13 News reporter Jeremy Toms is in the Fox 13 Big O Tires Weather Beast tonight. Jeremy, where are you and what are you seeing?
Hey Bob, we are here in the Big O Tires Weather Beast, moving up through Parley's Canyon, and while a lot of folks in Utah's valleys are seeing rain, we're painting a pretty similar picture out our front window here. I'll show you what we're seeing as we drive along eastbound I-80. We are about to get to Lambs Canyon, moving towards the summit, and still only light rain as far as we can see. No snowflakes flying just yet. We know we've seen them up towards the summit, but they're not quite sticking to the roads just yet. UHP telling us tonight that we've only had around 50 crashes across the state today. That number is more like hundreds on truly treacherous snow days, but here is one of those crashes. We pull up some video for you. This is eastbound I-80 back towards Tooele County tonight, where officials say a Ford pickup fishtailed, went off the road and rolled into a marshy area, killing a driver and leaving a passenger in critical condition. So while we may only be seeing wet roads in the valley, that is a tragic example of why, no matter the conditions where you're going, exercising caution is so important when we have a system coming through like this. It will be a big snowstorm for the Cottonwoods, the Wasatch Back, and mountains beyond. But John Gleason with UDOT tells me tonight, whether it's rain, sleet, or snow, just slow down. You could be traveling on what appears to be black pavement like we are right now, and all of a sudden it can be very easy to slide off just like that. He says on a night like tonight, there's no need to go freeway speeds. Just check your vehicle, have your tire treads at the ready, check your gas, wiper fluid, have an emergency kit ready to go. Be prepared for the roads and don't get impatient on them. We're going to keep an eye on things out here. We're continuing to move up in elevation towards Parley Summit to see what the snowfall is looking like up there, and we'll check back with you at the bottom of the hour. But for now, live in the Big O Tires Weather Beast, I'm Jeremy Toms. I'll send it back to you.
All right, Jeremy, thanks so much. Drive carefully out there. Stay up to date on the weather in your neighborhood. Scan the QR code on your screen right now or head to the Apple App Store or Google Play to download the Fox 13 Weather app. In other news, since the beginning of the year, our Fox 13 News viewers have been reaching out to us about fraud involving their EBT cards. It's leaving people who depend on that system without any way to pay their grocery bills. Last week, Lee St. Ange of Riverton filled her entire grocery cart intending to check out with her EBT card. At the register, she learned her balance was at zero and had to leave the store empty-handed. She did research and found out she, among thousands of others, were the victims of fraud.
I had no idea. They didn't they didn't send us out a letter. They didn't give us any information, anyhow, anywhere that this was happening.
The Utah Department of Workforce Services is working with the federal government and the card vendor to make changes and add security measures. They also encourage people to monitor their benefit accounts closely and change their PIN numbers often. Dozens of people packed the room at the Wasatch County Council meeting tonight to raise concerns with Sheriff Jared Rigby and his command staff. Now the county has announced there will be a criminal investigation that Rigby himself asked for. Fox 13 News investigative reporter Adam Herbetz was there.
Well, this is not the first time that Wasatch County Sheriff Jared Rigby has been accused of bullying and intimidating police officers. Today, multiple former sheriff's deputies thought they were going to be able to have their opportunity to speak their mind to the county council. Instead, at the last minute, the item got taken off the agenda.
I think there's a lot of things that a lot of public needs to find out what's going on.
Todd Bonner used to be the Wasatch County Sheriff, 2009 to 2019. When he retired, he endorsed Jared Rigby to take over, a decision he now regrets.
My bad. He was doing a really good job at the time.
On Wednesday, he thought he was going to be allowed to stand shoulder to shoulder with other former officers to raise serious concerns with Sheriff Rigby's time in office.
There's some bad things happening.
We really feel a responsibility to take seriously any of these claims and accusations. I think that there is the potential for some of the accusations to be criminal in nature.
The county council set time aside on the agenda, but changed their mind after finding out Sheriff Rigby already asked the Cache County Sheriff's Office to open a criminal investigation. The former deputies thought the timing was suspicious. They want the FBI to investigate, not another sheriff.
My opinion is another sheriff's office in the state of Utah should not be investigating another sheriff. Things are too close.
Presumably the sheriff wouldn't ask for himself to be investigated.
I don't know. I can't speak to the reasons why it was referred the way that it was.
The county also promised to hire a neutral third party to do an internal investigation.
We're looking at employing a retired judge that comes highly recommended, has no connections to Wasatch County, and can operate independently so they can provide an unbiased review of any potential policy or other violations.
The deputies said they wanted to be careful not to impede those investigations, but said generally some of their concerns have to do with bullying and intimidation. Multiple officers have quit, and it is not the first time Sheriff Rigby has faced those types of accusations.
There is no excessive use of force. And so your perception is wrong.
In 2022, Governor Spencer Cox chose Sheriff Rigby to be the director of Post, one of Utah's most powerful law enforcement officers. The swearing-in ceremony was canceled once they found out about this video obtained by Fox 13 News.
The only way that you can get in trouble here is if you don't do what we ask you to do.
Why would you allow yourself to go down a certain path of what appears to be and has been represented as threatening?
I don't think there's really a whole lot of difference. The bullying's going on. The intimidation factor is real. It's happening. It's happening throughout that whole office. In my opinion, he hasn't learned anything.
You might remember Sheriff Jared Rigby resigned from his position back in 2022 when he thought he was going to be getting that Utah State Post Director position. When he ended up not getting it, the Wasatch County Council allowed him to take back that resignation, which is why he's still in office today. Reporting in Heber City, Adam Herbetz, Fox 13 News, Utah.
A lot of people have been wondering what's going to happen to the empty lot at the corner of Sugar House Park in Salt Lake. Well, tonight we're getting some answers. These are the preliminary renderings for the Sugar House Hotel project at 21st South 13th East. It's described as an upscale boutique hotel with rentable community spaces, sports rentals, a cafe, a rooftop restaurant. Magnus Hotel Management says they have the right to assume the lease from the current tenants, Maverick, after neighbors opposed putting a gas station and convenience store on this lot.
We feel we've helped solve some of those traffic concerns that the locals have relative to the gas station. And of course, we don't have various, pollution concerns in our business that a gas station has.
The developers presented their plans and took questions at the Sugar House Community Council meeting tonight. Coming up, public employee labor unions are working to file a citizen referendum on the controversial new state law banning collective bargaining. We'll break down the uphill battle the unions face.
You're watching Fox 13 News, part of the Scripps News Group.
Well, welcome back. Let's go outside right now. A live look at UDOT traffic camera. This is along I-84 heading eastbound through Morgan. At that elevation, we're still finding a mixture of some rain and snow. Snow still falling in some of the higher elevations. Does that snow make its way to the valleys here in the overnight hours? We'll chat about that coming up in just a few minutes.
All right, Breck, thanks so much. With Brian Redd becoming Salt Lake City's new police chief, we wondered about his old employer, the Utah Department of Corrections. Redd was hired with the UDC in 2023 to fix problems there. 2 years ago, Corrections needed 372 more officers and reported 9,000 hours of overtime for the pay period. Today, a Corrections spokesman told Fox 13 News investigative team the department is down to just 104 vacant officer positions now, down from 372, and just 2,700 overtime hours in the last pay period. And we reported on inmates such as Franklin Carroll, who, despite promises from politicians about how the new prison would offer more therapies, are missing chances for parole because there aren't enough of the programs required by the parole board.
He was a good guy for this place, and hopefully it stays that way. Hopefully it doesn't backfire now that he's gone. They're going to get me into everything they can, and that's a major improvement.
Brian Redd, this last 21 months has been the best relationship that UPAN has ever had with an executive director to get additional phones installed in both prisons, because all of the housing units did not have enough phones to really accommodate. They would have 3 or 4 phones to accommodate 60 to 80 people.
The new corrections director, Jared Garcia, has been an assistant director under Redd. Now the public employee unions in Utah have been stripped of their right to collective bargaining. The unions are announcing a citizen referendum. Governor Cox signed HB 267 into law last month. Teachers, police officers, nurses, and other public employees protested. Now they're taking the issue directly to the voters and are gathering signatures.
Clearly, our legislators and the governor did not listen to the public outcry opposing HB 267, and we would like the people to be able to weigh in and vote to repeal this harmful legislation.
The unions have about 30 days to gather about 200,000 signatures. If they're successful, the referendum would wind up on the ballot in 2026, unless the governor calls a special election of the legislature, a special session of the legislature, or a special election to deal with it. A major bill offering a lifeline for firefighters has passed the legislature. The Senate unanimously approved a bill to expand the list of cancers for firefighters and offer them early screening access. The leading cause of death for firefighters is not fires themselves, it's cancer. For one firefighter, such screenings have helped him, as he has 2 forms of cancer now.
There's one more year, and it's a whole different prognosis for me. It's like late stage 4 cancer. So yeah, it's a journey, and it kind of sucks, but I'm gonna have a quality of life. I'm gonna get to see my grandkids grow up and spend time with my wife, and all those important things.
This bill has been 21 years in the making, and hopefully he will get to do just that. A major bill that became a flashpoint of controversy on Utah's Capitol Hill has been revived. The omnibus alcohol bill failed in the Senate last night. It was revived, though, today with some changes. Lawmakers will no longer consider the thorny issue of proximity. That means restaurants that want to serve liquor can't be too close to a park, school, church, or other community location. Instead, that will only apply to the point of the mountain. A tax increase on liquor sold in Utah is also out of the bill now. Grocery stores can do curbside pickup for beer, but they need to install surveillance cameras. Lawmakers on Utah's Capitol Hill passed a small income tax cut today. For the average family, it's about $45 a year. The bill also includes an expansion of the child tax credit and a new credit for businesses to build child care facilities for their employees.
All right, let's get to your weather forecast. Of course, the big talker is the storm coming through this afternoon as it continues on, raging through the mountains right now, bringing the snow. UDOT traffic camera up Little Cottonwood Canyon. We remind you that there are some traction rules in place here. As we'll see the snow continuing to fall, where Alta so far up to this point, they picked up 4 inches of new snow. Now we're keeping the snow away from the valleys for now. Let's take a look at our projections where snow levels are going, as it's about 7,500 feet now, as that'll be the case where it dips in just a little bit here in the overnight hours. But then it stays kind of in that similar range, about 7,000 feet moving through tomorrow. Once we get into tomorrow night, and especially overnight tomorrow through Friday morning, we do see snow levels dropping down to the valley floors. Flakes will be flying. Snow accumulation on the grassy surfaces. Looks like, though, hopefully we don't see much as far as accumulating on the roads, on your sidewalks. Many of us won't have to do any snow shoveling. Outside right now, temperatures still above freezing here along the Wasatch Front up through Logan. Still holding on to the 50s though this hour in St. George, I should say, where the flow out of the southwest keeping these mild temperatures at least initially. So as we look at the winter storm warning that's in effect from the National Weather Service, the focus is across the mountains. Now there are some areas under winter weather advisory. That's looking at some of the Wasatch back, where we are looking at significant snow accumulations for the mountains. Still, the projections are 1 to 2 feet of snow, more for the upper Cottonwood Canyons, again, where they've already picked up 4 inches. It will continue on here tonight through most of the day tomorrow, as we're looking at the storm pushing through both northern, central, and southern Utah. Much needed snow piling up, though, as you can see in Bryan. How about 21 inches? Oh, that would do a number there, and that would be very helpful, of course, for the ski resorts and for our snowpack. Now let me show you the valleys as we project over the next 24 hours. Not much here across most of the Wasatch Front. A little bit in Nephi. Again, as it does fall, the surface, or at the surface, is fairly warm, so it's mainly going to be wet conditions on the roads, but we don't see slushy conditions. Now heading into tomorrow night through Friday morning, we will see more snow accumulation on a range of 1 to 2 inches for most spots, maybe a little bit more in Nephi and throughout the benches. The benches, you might have to do a little bit of shoveling, but again, it should be warm enough at the surface that we don't have a big concern of that snow sticking to the roads, again, for valley locations. Right now, though, it's just mainly rain in the valley, snow in the mountains. You can see that all along I-15 as you push further northward between Cedar City all the way up into Fillmore, and then here along the Wasatch Front with heavier precipitation, especially as you move further northward. But it's all filling in and will continue on here in the overnight hours. As we line things up for tomorrow, we'll kind of see on and off again showers here across northern through central Utah, waiting for these systems to move through where initially they dig further southward and track and continue to supply moisture here across the state. Once this low pressure system moves off towards the east, the flow then turns out of the north heading into tomorrow night. That's why we're going to be dropping temperatures as it continues to move further eastward. By Friday afternoon, things look to improve, and we'll be looking at great conditions for our weekend. I'm planning on doing some skiing because Saturday will be sunny skies, all that fresh snow. It's good news there. Now for tomorrow's forecast, again, you're seeing that chance of showers throughout the day. Rain showers on and off as we'll be looking at highs below average, but still above freezing. That's why we're saying for most of the day, we'll be looking at mainly rain. For St. George, it's rain with some scattered showers Friday. Nice for the weekend with some sunshine. And then an additional storm heading into Tuesday and Wednesday of next week. Loving that the storm cycle continues on. We'll see that mixture of rain and snow Tuesday and Wednesday, but we'll get that snow Friday morning, but we also get the sunshine for the weekend. We're back after the break.
This has been Ash Wednesday, which marked the start of Lent, as Catholics and other Christians gathered worldwide to observe this day. Here in Utah, Juan Diego Catholic High School students and their families sang and prayed this morning. Many prayed for Pope Francis, who is still in the hospital battling pneumonia. There was significant damage to a fiber optics line in Roy today, causing a widespread outage. It impacted data networks, telecommunications, and internet services and caused 7 schools in the Weber district to close today. The district says security and safety were the issues. Electronic access control to buildings, phone lines, and PA systems all rely on network connections. And the district says losing those can cause a lot of problems. The district hopes to have everything up and running for school tomorrow. Tune in to Good Day Utah starting at 5 tomorrow morning for the latest on this. The Salt Lake International Airport just opened its first sensory room. It has bean bags, light and activity panels, and air walls. It's to make traveling less stressful for people with sensory needs and invisible disabilities. This sensory room is the first of 3 to open. It's located on Concourse A East, next to the restaurant White Horse.
2 Salt Lake City police officers who inappropriately handled the dead body of a man experiencing homelessness are being sued for other encounters they had with homeless individuals.
The rain is still coming down out there. Let's check back in now with Fox 13 News reporter Jeremy Toms live in the Fox 13 Big O Tires Weather Beast. Jeremy, the last time we talked to you, you were headed east on I-80 up Parley's Canyon. Where are you now?
Hey Bob, still headed in that same direction. We have moved higher in elevation, though. We've reached the summit of Parley's Canyon, and we are seeing those flakes start to fly. I'll give you a look right outside the front of our Big O Tires Weather Beast, and still not quite sticking to the roads, not having that traffic impact that would cause a big concern, but we have seen around 50 crashes throughout the state today. We know that from UHP, and they say that number not quite down, not quite at the level of where it would be on other treacherous snow days, but just be careful, be prepared. Several roads up here, including Empire Pass and up into the Cottonwoods, are going to require traction loss. So a lot to think about if you're moving to the higher elevations as we move through this storm. Live in the Big O Tires Weather Beast, I'm Jeremy Toms. I'll send it back to you.
All right, be careful, Jeremy, as conditions continue to deteriorate out there. Now to a Fox 13 News follow-up. The Salt Lake City Police Department said last week its officers had inappropriately handled the body of a man who had died while experiencing homelessness. Fox 13 News investigative reporter Taylor Stevens found 2 of the officers involved in that case are currently facing separate federal lawsuits, both related to their treatment of unsheltered people.
Good chance he will. You been on a dead body? No, you haven't been on first dead body.
No, this is the first one.
So you gotta help move.
Last week, we told you about Salt Lake City police officers disciplined for inappropriately handling the dead body of a man experiencing homelessness.
I feel like you're pranking me.
I'm not.
A rookie officer used a box cutter to slice through blisters on Jason Lloyd's skin in what one report called a type of hazing.
They're supposed to be helping, serving, and protecting. And it's very disappointing.
Advocates for Salt Lake City's homeless population like Wendy Garvin, the executive director of Unsheltered Utah, say it's not just the officers' actions.
I frequently see contempt in the way that Salt Lake City police officers address the homeless population or talk about the homeless population.
These guys are all dopers and addicted to vices.
Layman's terms.
Yeah.
That's why they can't stay housed.
Garvin believes comments like these, captured on body cam the day Lloyd's body was found in his tent, are also revealing of how some officers in the department view the homeless.
It's very clear to me that within the Salt Lake City Police Department, there is a culture of contempt and disregard.
Garvin has complained for years about police treatment of people on the streets. She believes the department's culture contributed to the way officers handled Lloyd's body in August.
That dehumanization plays out in the way that the homeless population is arrested, the way that they're interacted with, the way that they're offered services, and then of course in this case, the way that they were treated after death, which was just horrifying. I would be shocked to see somebody who was found in a home treated in the same way.
The rookie who cut through Lloyd's skin was taking his direction from these officers.
There's a lot of recruits who quit.
Paul Molinax and Mark Keep. The Fox 13 Investigates team found they are both currently being sued in federal court for separate cases related to their treatment of people experiencing homelessness.
I think that just kind of goes to show the ongoing problem in Salt Lake.
James Roberts is a civil rights attorney in Texas. He's representing the family of Nikon Brandon in a lawsuit filed last year. Brandon died in Salt Lake in 2022, shortly after police held him face down during a struggle. He was homeless at the time. Keep is one of several officers accused of continuing to hold Brandon down after he'd been handcuffed, until he ultimately stopped breathing. The Salt Lake County District Attorney's Office declined to pursue criminal charges in Brandon's death, saying the involved officers used reasonable force. But the lawsuit claims the officers were not properly trained on the dangers of the prone position or on how to deal with someone in a mental crisis, as they say Brandon was at the time.
And they continued restraining him until his death. They had previously done the same thing to a woman, Megan Moan, another member of the homeless population there in Salt Lake.
The city's attorneys dispute claims of improper training in both cases.
We're going to do a search of the vehicle because I can obviously smell marijuana. Is there anything in there I should know about?
A separate lawsuit centers around the actions of Molinax and another Salt Lake City officer who were out on patrol in 2023 when they encountered a woman experiencing homelessness.
We're going to take you to the ground next. You want to do that?
They said they smelled weed in Agnes Martinez's car and told her they needed to search it. During a struggle to put her in handcuffs, they used what the lawsuit calls a dangerous takedown method. The complaint alleges that takedown broke her leg.
And she had to have it amputated. That's an awfully high price to pay for a small amount of weed in her car.
The Salt Lake City Police Department said last year that it was investigating the incident, saying that in the meantime, any assumptions, including any conclusions or correlations between the amputation and the officer's encounter, would be premature.
Her leg just broke.
Roberts is not involved in Martinez's lawsuit, but he said learning that these two officers have been involved in more than one high-profile case involving people on the streets indicates a need for changes to the city's approach to policing the homeless.
It's a problem that the police department needs to fix before someone else loses their life, and apparently it needs to be fixed on what happens when they run across someone who has already lost their life. not to mishandle the body.
The bloating makes him significantly bigger.
We asked the Salt Lake City Police Department about these pending lawsuits and its officers' general approach when interacting with people experiencing homelessness. A spokesman for the department said he couldn't comment on pending litigation, but in a statement he said, "We are committed to our department's core values that include compassion in every interaction, especially with people experiencing homelessness." When working with the community, the statement continued, "We work to meet their expectations every time. If we fall short, we take responsibility, learn, improve, and hold ourselves accountable." You can find the department's full statement online on our website at fox13now.com. In Salt Lake City, Taylor Stevens, Fox 13 News, Utah.
If you have a story you want the Fox 13 News investigative team to look into, send them an email at iteam@fox13now.com. We'll be right back. We thought this was worth celebrating tonight, making strides with Legos. Fox 13 News reporter Maithili Gubi shows us how one team of kids in Utah is representing the state on an international stage.
Let's go, Sloughs, let's go.
Like you cheer on your favorite team, these students are cheering on their innovation.
This is a robot called Sloughs. I've always been interested in building and breaking apart things, and once I found out about this team, it was it excelled it up to the next level.
For the Electro Slots, it's less about building Legos.
This one, go ahead.
And more about building a future.
I feel like, especially in places where it requires such problem solving and thinking, it's very hard to replicate it. And also having people who are also like-minded and interested in what they're doing.
Meet the kids behind these Legos. This team of 6th to 8th graders are part of a Lego team that designs robots and programs them to do tasks.
What we're supposed to do is send this research vessel to the other side, making it attach onto that latch.
I've always been interested in robotics, so I decided to give it a shot, and I've been doing it for the last 4 years, and I've absolutely loved it.
They also get to hone their presentation skills, research their ideas, and learn to work in teams, led by their coach.
He'd help us by showing us techniques and inspiring us all throughout our journey.
Krishnakant Golakotti.
It's exciting. It's all about creativity. You get to solve problems with creative ideas. That's what excites me. These kids have a lot of creative ideas. Bringing them to an actual realization, that is great.
So at the state competition hosted at Weber State University in February, the team placed second. They got this trophy and a chance to participate at the Sunshine Invitationals competition hosted in Florida in June.
That was from the state-level competition at Weber State. The team also got to go to Houston last year and compete in the World Championship.
We first brainstormed a way to finish the mission model, and we first thought of just a prototype. Then it just evolved and evolved, and I like how Legos just keep on evolving, and you can make very complex and masterpieces with just Legos.
This year's topic was submerge.
And at the end, we wanted to push this yellow lever.
So they worked on a robot to help solve problems underwater.
I really like the fact that we get to collaborate and just bring all the different ideas into one attachment, or just basically combine ideas and make them into a reality.
Excited to keep using Legos as building blocks to their dreams.
It's just something that I enjoy as a hobby, so that's just what I do, and I enjoy it with all my friends now.
In Salt Lake City, I am Maithili Gubi, Fox 13 News, Utah.
As we go to a break, let's go up to Brighton Ski Resort. The snow falling right now, piling up. Ski resorts here across northern Utah, picking up anywhere between 3 to 6 inches so far. How much more is expected? I'll let you know after the break.
And later in sports, an update on where BYU sits in the Big 12 race following their mammoth upset at Iowa State last night. Plus, the Jazz go back on the road for the first time in a long time. How close are they to getting that coveted draft lottery number? Back in a bit.
I just asked Brett where it's worse out there right now. Where is it the worst?
Well, we're getting hit all across the state. The heaviest rain right now is up in Ogden. Snow right now, as far as where we're seeing the most significant snow accumulations, is through the Cottonwood Canyons at this hour. Let's get to it though. I'm liking this storm because it's hitting the right spots. Let me just show you forecasting the snow amounts that we're looking ahead, where most mountain locations 1 to 2 feet of snow. When you get that little pink and purple, that pushes the snow amounts up into that level. But it's not just here across the state. Southwestern Utah also getting in the mix. Then we look over towards Colorado. This system's coming in from the south, tracking through Arizona. That wraparound flow really brings the snow over towards Colorado, and this is what's going to be flowing into Lake Powell. We need to make up there as well. So this is good news, as we'll see that. Southeastern Utah, you're kind of missing out on this storm. This is another place that we wish we could get more snow, but southwestern Utah will take it as we go towards central and southern Utah. Beaver right now, we're seeing kind of a mixture of some rain and snow. As I've been showing you the traffic cameras here across the north, we need to just highlight we're seeing this action all throughout the state, even in St. George, where right now we're at 54 degrees. Flow out of the south at 15 miles per hour. You're gearing up for tomorrow that even for St. George, you've got rain in your forecast. The rain falling here with a view from our Natural History Museum camera, where again it is rain in the valleys, where temperatures are at currently 39 degrees, where the flow coming in from the south, well, actually we'll see temperatures climb here just a little bit in the overnight hours as that flow remains out of the south, moving through most of Thursday. So the snow will keep it confined to the mountains, thus that winter storm warning in effect for the mountain locations. That little purple winter weather advisory for some of the Wasatch Back, especially as we go from tomorrow night through Friday morning. This is what we're looking at, where the Wasatch Back will be picking up anywhere between 2 to 5 inches of snow, but Park City even more. Cottonwood Canyons 20 to 36 inches. I mentioned the Alta so far is almost up to 5 inches up to this point, but most mountain spots will be 1 to 2 feet, where we're not expecting to see much snow accumulation for the valleys, except we would get hit a little bit tomorrow night through Friday morning. But a lot of green from radar currently. That's rain, as we're seeing from St. George moving further northward, but it's starting to transition just a little bit as we move through the overnight hours. Again, as you're tracking up in elevation, going from St. George into Cedar City, as you move up towards Beaver, also seeing that mixture of some rain and snow. It's over some of these higher elevation passes. We could definitely encounter some snow and maybe a little bit of slushy conditions, especially tomorrow night through Friday. It's going to be a wet night here for tonight. We'll wake up with kind of some ice or spotty showers here across the Wasatch Front. We'll definitely be looking at damp conditions and even a mixture of rain and snow the further north you go, with some colder temperatures, but wet conditions, that flow of the moisture coming through as these storm systems continue to track towards the east. They move through Arizona, as that will continue to supply moisture here statewide. So as you can look at future precipitation over the next 48 hours, everyone's getting hit. It's just a little lacking across southeastern Utah, but here along the Wasatch Front down through St. George and even northeastern Utah, you're liking this storm, where waking up tomorrow, again, on and off showers throughout the morning hours. We'll kind of be looking at mid to late morning commute, where the rain does make a bigger comeback, and will continue on throughout the afternoon as temperatures will be below average but well above freezing. Many spots in the 40s, even through central Utah, low 50s in St. George. So we've got the clouds, we've got the precipitation, as tomorrow will be mainly rain in the valley, snow in the mountains. So a rainy day for St. George with some scattered showers on Friday. Then you're liking the weekend. Boy, heading to St. George there, where you've got 60s, even 70s on Monday before the next storm hits. That brings more rain next Tuesday into Wednesday. Northern Utah, that mixture of rain and snow, really just in the morning hours. You might see a few flakes, but it's mainly rain, as we'll see snow though Friday morning. Afternoon, we start tapering off the showers and welcome in the sunshine and welcome some warmer temperatures, upper 50s to mid 60s by Monday. Then another storm system coming through. So we'll keep this going, but just in time for your weekend plans, they should be good to go.
Once it goes into one overtime, that's wild, and then double is even crazier.
Iowa State was going to come back and you were going to see them respond. In that final possession, I was scared.
All of my buddies that were texting in group chats, and they were saying, this game's over, we're losing this game, you know, there's no way that we can keep up this lead. And I'm like, come on guys, believe.
Yeah, that's some of the reaction I got from edgy BYU fans writing out the Iowa State upset last night to the very end. A quad one win on the road that locked up a double bye for the Cougs at next week's Big 12 tournament. It took double OT to do it, though, after coughing up a 21-point second-half lead. And Kevin Young talked about the opportunity to potentially meet the Cyclones again next week in the Big 12 quarterfinals.
Every time I was in in the NBA and March would roll around, I was like, man, I bet it's so fun to coach college basketball in March, and here we are. So, you know, you get a chance to play against really good teams who have really good players and are super well coached. So as a competitor, man, that's what you look forward to, you know, being able to hopefully right some of the wrongs from this game. If that ends up holding true, you know, that'll be a big-time game.
Could the Cougs get a little help from Colorado tonight as the regular season winds down? The answer was no. Texas Tech taking it right to them in Lubbock. JT Toppin can't be topping that. 30 for him. Christian Anderson later picking a pocket as the 9th-ranked Red Raiders defeat the Buffaloes by 16. Here's a look at the top of the Big 12 race ahead of Saturday's rivalry game against Utah. BYU alone in 4th at 13-6. Tech moving into a two-way tie for 2nd with Arizona. Houston already with the top seed all locked up. The BYU women, meanwhile, began their Big 12 tourney run this morning. Freshman Delaney Gibb leading the Cougars in scoring 4 of the last 5 games, including a career-best 36 in that loss to Utah, 15 Wednesday against UCF. Blue, though, was outgunned big in the final quarter. Caitlin Peterson doing most of that damage. Banks a 3, 35 for her as the Knights upset the Lady Cougs in the 12-13 game, 81-69. The Jazz tonight hit the road for the first time in 23 days. The Wizards currently leading the race to land the best odds at obtaining the top overall pick come June, but Utah came into Wednesday only 3.5 games back of Washington at 15-46 overall. Go to our nation's capital where most of Will Hardy's starting rotation was out of commission. Left to watch the Wizards shoot up 15 in the 3rd. Bub Carrington after the turnover. Then in the 4th, Kaishan George drains the kick out. Utah making a late charge to try and steal it. Johnny Juzang off the inbounds with 5 seconds left. He matched a career high with 27, but they needed another inbounds play to force OT, and this time Bryce Sensabaugh does not get the call. 125-122. The Jazz now moving with the 2.5 games of the league's worst record. The Salt Lake City Stars had a 6-game win streak going, up a dozen, quarter 2 at the Oklahoma City Blue. Former UVU product Justin Harmon there, but the Blue had 2 local connections. The Ute and Bingham Minor, Brandon Carlson cleaning up. Carlson then feeds the Weber State Wildcat Dylan Jones. OKC up big late. Jones returning the favor to Carlson, who finished with 22 and 10. It's the Stars' first loss in a month. In the Hockey Club Wednesday, Inky defenseman Ian Cole to a 1-year extension. Cole has laced up in 61 games this season for Utah. He leads the entire NHL with 160 blocked shots and ranks 2nd on the club in both hits and takeaways. They also signed Alex Kerfoot to a 1-year deal, so making moves before the trade deadline.
Back to the Jazz real quick. Next to the worst record, but you look at tonight's score, within 3 points, 122 to 125. That's respectable. It's not like they just sat on the bus.
Yeah, but that was a bad team they played today.
Oh.
Why? I hate to burst them up. That's all right.
Listen, I'm just trying to build them up, okay? You know,
You're doing a good
positive
job.
reinforcement.
They feel
That's
it.
all I'm trying to do. Okay, thanks so much, Morgan. Back in a minute. We've had a lot of fun here, but and we're going to have some more fun coming up on QuickCast here in just a moment. So don't you go anywhere.